So last week passage came from John chapter 7, verses 37 through 52. The notable themes from that episode is the great day of the feast. That's the 8th day. Remember, the Feast of Tabernacle, the Feast of Booths is 7 days, and then the first day being a high Sabbath, and then the 8th day, the day after the 7th day, is a holy assembly, a high Sabbath. Then we have the living water, the Holy Spirit, as a notable theme, because he shouted out in the midst on the great day of the assembly of all the people. Because remember, there's going to be millions of people in that land because of the feast. So he yells out, those who are thirsty, come and drink. He was offering them the living water, the Holy Spirit. Another notable theme is the blindness of the religious leaders, which we read about in all of the Gospels, actually, and also in some of the letters that are written. I'm going to take your attention to the reflection. So, one of the statements was that the Holy Spirit was not yet given because he have not experienced his passion yet. But we have to understand that many people were filled with the Holy Spirit before Yeshua. And we went through those passages all the way to the New Testament. But what we have now today is that Holy Spirit that was up on Yeshua is available to us all. And if you remember, the difference between the Holy Spirit and moving in the Berhadashah, the New Testament, versus the Old Testament, the Tanakh, is that the Holy Spirit was available to those who were leading. Now the Holy Spirit is available to us all. So many of the religious leaders were unable to see or hear past their doctrine to recognize the Messiah. They weren't able to recognize it because their glasses were colored, unable to see the teaching of the word of Jehovah. Because of that, they send the temple officers to go arrest him. Now, the temple officers was not able to arrest him because they heard the words of the Messiah, like many others, and was amazed at his teaching because he taught the Tanakh, the Old Testament, like no one ever could. He taught it without the doctrine of men, without the dogma. The religious leaders were only focused on what they thought was the truth. One thought of their own truth was that Yeshua was from Galilee. And we know that he's not from Galilee. We know that he is from Nazareth. And then we recognize no one even asked him where he was from because they were saying that no prophet comes from Galilee. They was saying that. Now, they were caught up in themselves and ignore the law, ignore the instructions, which Nicodemus, which we recognize who Nicodemus is, questioned that. He questioned them. John 7:50 and 51, Nicodemus, the one who came to him before him, being one of them, said to them, our law does not judge the person unless it first hears from him and knows what he is doing. Does it? That is the question that Nicodemus brought to them to help them understand you yourself is stepping outside the instructions. So where do we find this at that Nicodemus come with this? Exodus 23:1. You should not spread a false report. Do not join the wicked by being a malicious witness. Deuteronomy 17:6. On the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses, a man should be put to death, but he should not be executed on the testimony of a lone witness. Deuteronomy 19:15. A lone witness is not sufficient to establish any wrongdoing or sin against a man, regardless of what his offense he may have committed. A matter must be established by a testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses. And we talked about these 2 or 3 witnesses when it came to the adulterous woman. Now, I propose a question before you. I want to take you to my questions. One of the questions that I have is, What was Yeshua doing wrong according to the law, according to the instructions from Jehovah that caused them to want to arrest him? What was he doing so wrong that they were wanting to kill him and give the death penalty as his punishment? Who are we following? Who are we following? The question that I propose to everyone: are we able to look past our religious lenses, see and hear and perceive the teachings of Yeshua? Are we able to look past that? That's not an easy thing, especially if you've been raised in denomination, non-denominational religious systems since childhood. Going to my applications, continue to study the teaching of Yeshua. This is my journey. I will continue to study. I will continue to work daily to following his footsteps so that I can most definitely line myself up with the word of Jehovah.